Hey all, welcome to ShareTreck. It is 2nd of February 2022, and we are looking at a market that's not looking that great. But we had some excellent reports yesterday, earnings reports, and top of them is Google. So let us quickly look at our agenda for today. First, we are going to talk about the results that came up on Tuesday and the ones that came early this morning. And also we'll look at how they are going to impact the sentiment of the market and what it means for us. And next, we'll look at the CRISPR industry news and updates and snippets. And after that, we'll go on to look at the VXN and the indices, and finally into our biotech shares and see if we can sense any price movements. And that would be the show today. And meanwhile, I have also tried to further improve the audio for this segment. And if any of you have any concerns with the audio quality, please let me know. Or if you find a good improvement, even then put it in the comment. It will help me. I have ordered some new microphones also, so that apart from software enhancement of the audio, I could have a better quality mic and potentially a new camera probably in March or something like that. So that's what's in plan. Let's get started with today's review of earnings from Tuesday. So if you look at the earning calendar from before, on Tuesday, we had Google, PayPal, AMD, Starbucks, and UPS, among others, reporting. And Google reported excellent results. They also announced a 20-to-1 share split, which is going to make it much more accessible for the retail investor. And therefore, it's excellent news for the market. So that was a positive shot from Google. And at the same time, we had AMD reporting fantastic results. And that also pushed the market up. So from the FANG stocks perspective, we already heard about Apple. It has done well. Microsoft has done well. Google has given great results and great outlook. AMD has done the same. IBM has done the same. And overall, the sentiment is starting to get more and more positive. UPS also reported excellent results, and it increased the dividend as well. So all these are positives. However, PayPal and Starbucks were the ones that kind of brought a bit of disappointment in the market. PayPal more so because I believe the eBay component of PayPal probably obstructs its true potential. So we'll have to wait and watch. I have a good holding of PayPal. So I'm going to take the opportunity to dollar cost average. When the price goes down further, I might probably buy a little more to reduce my dollar cost average and see where it goes from there. When it comes to Starbucks, it's a bit disappointing that we are still not past the overhang of COVID. So in a way, if we look at the market from a biotech perspective, many biotech shares are feeling a bit of downward pressure today because there is a sense that COVID is going to subside. And as a result, the COVID vaccines will not be needed and so on. So that's one sentiment which is driving the biotech down. At the same time, when you look at the Starbucks results, it's looking backward to the time that has passed. The performance is for the previous quarter, and that was down because of COVID. So we have to come through this mirage of situation so that we can be in a more simpler times where we can look at the results and make our determination quite easily, because right now it's all a bit obfuscated and hopefully things will clear up going forward. Now let's look at the news articles that we have. Let's start off with the news for the day. So I'm in investors.com looking at the biotech and pharma stock news. I'm just going to look at what has happened right from the end of January to February 2nd. That is today. So I'm seeing a lot of negative headlines, which definitely does have a overhang on the biotech indices. So you look at AbbVie sales lag as Humira competition heats up and US biosimilars loom. So that is one negative headline. Novartis skids after scraping an eczema drug as quarterly metrics lag. So Novartis has dropped almost 3% due to this. Anavex CEO says inaccurate impression clouded Rett drugs promise. So they had a drug for Rett syndrome and it didn't work out. So that's a negative. Gilead stock dives after two major charges, dig into fourth quarter earnings. Again, a negative news. This was on February 1st. Anavex news was on February 1st. Novartis was on February 2nd, that is today. And on 31st January, we have the news Pfizer backs out of deal, but former partner Ionis pairs its losses. So this also does concern CRISPR companies with whom big pharma may have partnerships, because this gives a preview of what would happen in case the pipeline doesn't materialize. So overall, this is a negative sentiment that is kind of clouding the market. So apart from this, I don't have any other news items. So let's go on to the indices now. I'm going to look at the VXN first, as always. When you look at the VXN, you will see that this green candle is today's candle. Each candle is 1 day, and this green candle is today's candle. VIX has gone up by almost 1%. And the process, what had happened was in the morning, the VIX had dropped, and it had come all the way down to what happens to be the 50-day EMA, which is at 27.23 right now, and it bounced off it. And it also went back beyond the support that we had earlier at 27.73. It broke past that also, and now it is being constrained by the 20-day EMA, which is this orange line that we have here. That is the constraint out there. So it's between these two exponential moving averages, and right now the MACD is looking bearish and the momentum is kind of flat. So hopefully we will end the day flat for VXN, and that would be a good outcome. We need to come below not only this horizontal resistance at 27.73, but also below the 50-day EMA in order for us to make any progress with the NASDAQ. Now, if we look at the NASDAQ, it is up 0.40, and that is mostly the effect of Google and the other tech majors who have reported excellent results, which we previewed earlier today. Let's go and again, if you look at the MACD here, it is bullish, and momentum is also picking up. So that looks good for NASDAQ, and we have to see the same thing reflected in the VXN. So that's the challenge out there. Now let's look at biotech. So in terms of biotech, Vertex is at the very top, and it's up 2.31%, and it's going to do great. It's a good company. Unfortunately, I don't have the cash available to invest, or else I'd be dollar cost averaging this on the way up. It has a long runway up, in my opinion. Let's look at PFE. It's up 1.03%. Pfizer, despite the setback that it has had, it's done well so far. The MACD is tending to become bullish, but right now it's on the bearish zone, and the momentum is picking up. And we have got the earnings coming up on 8th of February. So we got a good support at 52.48, and that's where we bounced off today. And we have just about broken the resistance at 53.50. We are at 53.60. So if this holds, then our next challenge is going to be this green line that you can see here, the fluorescent green line. That happens to be the 50-day EMA, and that is constraining the price right now. And after that, we have got the 20-day EMA, which is the orange line that we have to cross over. So there's plenty of resistances out here, but Pfizer has the capability to go through it. So hoping for the best here for Pfizer. PACB is down 0.52%, and it is being supported by our 9-day EMA, which is this red line, and it has got a very strong resistance at the confluence of the 50-day EMA and the horizontal resistance at 12.82. So if today we reach that level, we will not be able to break that. We'll probably tomorrow or day after this 50-day EMA will be below that resistance, and we can take them one at a time and cross over. The MACD is looking bullish, and the momentum is below average, but it's slightly flat, but it's not falling either. So it's neither here nor there, but based on the MACD, I feel that we should be probably ending the day flat for PACB. And then let's go on to Regeneron, which is down 0.46%. And if you notice this pennant that I have here, which I'm going to consider to be a bullish pennant, in this, you will see these daily candles. And when you look at all these candles, right from 27th January onwards, all those candles are biased towards the upper half of the pennant and closer towards the resistance line, which is on the top of the pennant. And today, we are kind of potentially looking for a breakout. Typically, bullish pennants on upward trends always break upwards. And I am I'm thinking that this is an upward trend, and also this is an upward trend. So therefore, this pennant has to break upward. We'll see what happens in the next couple of days, and that will coincide along with the earnings, which is on 4th of February. And already today we have gone above this upper bound, and we are kind of slightly above this 610.88, just slightly below the 610.88 resistance. We are right now at 610.52. So once we break that, then our next resistance is going to be 614.51. So I'm thinking good days ahead for Regeneron. The MACD is flat, and so is the RSI for today. So maybe we'll end up the day with just a bit of negatives, but still try to beat and stay above the resistance at 610.88, or at least above this diagonal red line that we have here. Novartis is down 2.71%. If you noticed yesterday, we were struggling between the resistance at 88.41 and between the support at 87.69. So we were neatly poised in between, and there was a lot of indecision. And this morning, with the bad news that we had, that I previewed earlier, Novartis has already dropped to 2.5%, and it bounced off our support, which is at 84.47. And currently, our earlier support of 85.75 is now acting as a resistance. So I'm going to put that as a resistance out here. And we also have resistance, which is coming from the 50-day EMA, which is this fluorescent green line. It is bounding on the top. So it's a very strong resistance out here. And I'm not sure if Novartis can break that today. So we are going to end the day negative for Novartis, and tomorrow is another day. Verve is down 2.93%, and the MACD is also bearish, and so is the RSI. The momentum is dropping. So Verve is going to end up with negative for the day, probably $1 or so negative, as long as the VIX doesn't spurt too much. ARCG is down 3.27%. And unfortunately for us, it has fallen down below the support that we had for the bearish downward channel that we were moving in earlier. We, however, are getting support very nicely from 48.82. It has happened yesterday also, and it has happened today also, that this horizontal support gave us a good bounce. So we will have to see whether we can continue to hold above that support today. The MACD is looking bullish. That gives me some hope, but the RSI is looking weak, and that takes away the hope that the MACD gives me. So as long as the VXN doesn't spike any further, I think that we would end the day with a negative of -1.5 or something for ARCG. Bluebird is down 3.97%, and it has got resistances above it, and the nearest resistance is at 7.97%. The MACD, even though it has turned bullish, is running parallel to the signal line, and the momentum is weak, so nothing great can be expected from Bluebird today. Let's go on to CRISPR, 3.59% down, and it is below our resistance, which it had broken in the morning. It's gone below 66.36 after breaking it once. So right now we are getting some support from the 9-day EMA, which is a red line. I don't know if you can see this in your monitor. I would probably try to change the color. Change the color of this one to make it look white, so that it can be, make it slightly thicker so that you can see it. So that is the white line that you see here. That is the one that is giving us support out here for the price, and we are struggling out there. And if that support gives way, then we are going to fall down, and the next support will be in this particular line, which probably would be around 53.52. That's how low it can fall. So hoping for the best here. The MACD is looking bullish, but the momentum is very weak. So we are going to end the day negative for CRISPR. Teladoc is down 4.74%, and our next resistance is going to be at 83.13. And also we are having a support which is coming from the 9-day EMA, which is this white line, and another resistance which is coming from the 20-day EMA, which is this orange line. So I'm going to make the orange line a little bit thicker so that you can see it clearly. So the orange line, which is the 20-day EMA, is a resistance for us, and also this horizontal resistance at 83.13. And our MACD is bullish, but our momentum is bearish. So there is not much prospects for Teladoc to improve any further today. In fact, it may end up the day negative at 3.5 or something. Allogene is down 4.8%. Again, it's being restricted by the 20-day EMA, which is the orange line, and it used to have a support from the 9-day EMA. It has fallen below it, so now the 9-day EMA is also resistance for it. So all in all, it's a very tough time for Allogene. IMTX is down 4.35%. Again, the resistance is coming not only from this horizontal resistance at 9.65, but also the 9-day EMA, which is kind of pushing it down. That's where we are pushed down from today. Our next support happens to be at 8.80. Overall, IMTX is looking bad. Intelia is down 4.52%, but it still has support from the 9-day and the 20-day EMA, and we also have a support at 91.58. So overall, things are looking not as bad as they could be, but not good either. So as long as we stay above the support, we are fine. Above the support of the 20-day EMA, we are going to be fine. The MACD is bullish, but the momentum is neutral. So things could improve a little bit today for Intelia based on that. And we may probably end up the day with a slightly less negative number of minus 3.5 or in something in that range. Editas is down 7.05%, and it's being constrained not only by the 20-day EMA, but also by the 9-day EMA. And we are right now testing our support at 18.20. And hopefully if this support lasts, then we are in a good shape for tomorrow. Otherwise, our next support is going to be 15.37. The MACD is turning bullish, but the momentum is not there, and that's the major problem. Beam is down 7.37%, and it has got resistance from both the 9-day and the 20-day EMA, and it has fallen below the support we had of 65.12, which is now the resistance. So that's all I got today for you with regard to the technical analysis of these shares. We have to start delving more into the fundamental aspects of these shares, and I'm working on that in parallel, and we'll probably see them in the weekend videos, in one of those weekend videos. One by one, we'll tackle all of them and get on top of them so that the technical analysis and fundamental together can give us a holistic picture. Thanks for dropping by, and if you're here for the first time, please consider subscribing to this channel. At the least, press the like button, and we'll see you next in our next session tomorrow. Thanks and have a great day. Bye for now.